Why you should no longer concern yourself with how many likes, how many views you have on social media, and why you should post whatever your heart leads you to anyway. This has been actually a subject that I personally had struggled with for quite some time. And while I understood that I had a deep calling and a need to basically share certain parts of myself, certain types of information, certain subject matters, I was reluctant and oftentimes would sometimes post and then decide to take it down because of my fears. And a lot of those fears revolved around the fact that I didn't have the following that many people around me had, and falling victim to comparison mentality, which is a very bad thing. But a shift in perception can change everything for you. And I want to share this because if you're also someone who is struggling with this subject, it might perhaps even shift your perspective, your viewpoint on things. So this is what I've learned. This is what I've downloaded. This is what has been, what guidance has been given to me. And it has relieved so much anxiety around sharing, parts of myself and authentic parts of myself. And that is the fact that when you view the universe from that perspective of energy, right, and manifestation, everyone manifests things in their reality that they want to attract. If you are focusing on something, if you're thinking on something, if you have questions that you put out to God or the universe, if you are aware enough to, and you're in flow state enough to be led to those things that you're interested in, it shows up in your life, right? You could have a question about something, and I don't know, just a random example. Let's just say you have a question about your lineage as a starseed or your cosmic ancestry, or maybe you have some questions around your life purpose or how to manage your emotions, just anything really. If you put it out there, you're going to catch on to a frequency at some point to where you'll have your questions answered. You'll have your concerns addressed, and you'll be led to different things. People, books, YouTube videos, television shows, different materials or whatnot, music even, that helps you. That's right on point with what your concern was. And so when you look at things like that, it's not always in a linear time, right? I personally have had questions or concerns about things, and I'll just randomly see, for instance, a YouTube video or listen to a podcast, and maybe it was recorded years ago, but I personally just found it because this is the time for me to find it. And I'm so grateful that I run across the information because it's what I needed. Imagine if those podcasts, those videos didn't exist because the creators, when they originally made them, had some doubts and decided, I don't want to post that. Maybe they had the same fears I do, or I did. What would happen to that? So, in a sense, your audience manifests you. When you're a creator, and this can apply to anything. When you're a creator, you create from that part within yourself that is so deeply led and so passionately guided to do it, to put it out there. And the reason you feel that is because there is an energetic audience for you that wants it, that is manifesting it at some point, needs that, right? So you have to move on faith that you're putting the stuff out there you're meant to, and it's going to reach who it's meant to. This makes me think about author Dolores Cannon. She did a lot of work in the 1980s around hypnotism and past life regression. And I can't go into a whole thing about who she is. Please do Google her. But basically, she did a lot of work on past life regression, and a lot of her information was deeply spiritual and esoteric. But at the time, there was no internet. There was not much talk around these subjects. People probably more than likely thought she was crazy. But if you look at the current times, because of the internet, and that's one of the positives of the internet, is we can share information much more quickly. And just the fact that her books and everything has now reached a larger audience, she has affected millions of lives in a positive way. So think about also a lot of musicians. A lot of musicians died before their 30th birthday, basically unknown, or just not as known, or, maybe their music didn't make the impact that it does now versus the times they were in. We can think about people like Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin. I mean, I can think of a lot of artists, poets. Emily Dickinson. She wrote hundreds and hundreds of poems, and nobody knew about her really until after her death. So many things like that happen often. And so who knows? Maybe some of the things I put out don't get noticed in this timeline, or this, what we call linear time. But because I'm drawn to put it there, someone's going to see it that needs it. And so that's what drives me to leave things as they are now. So if you're an artist, a creative, if you're a spiritual coach, if you're anyone, a teacher, a writer, someone who creates music, whatever it is that you feel connected to your heart to put out there, it's meant to be put out there because there is an audience in the present or in the future that is manifesting that from you. And that urge comes from that sensation, that deep knowing inside your soul that it's needed. It's sometimes difficult to just step out on faith like that. But that's a part of our journey in realizing just how powerful we are, and knowing that we can walk in our purpose, and it's not for no reason. And I just wanted to share that. I wanted to uplift and encourage someone because this is really important. There's a lot of changes happening on this planet right now as far as raising our vibration, as far as sharing information. We're in the age of Aquarius, so the collective is definitely going to be experiencing a lot more synchronicities when it comes to things like that, a lot more unity, a lot more togetherness. So I just want you to be encouraged to follow your heart in those matters. And what you do now in the present creates a future. Who knows, decades from now, hundreds of years from now, thousands of years from now, maybe what you do is going to make a major difference. And if you don't put it out there, you will never have that benefit of putting that energy into the universe and having it be felt and known. So know that. I hope that this somehow encourages you at least to think. And so at the very least, this is not a forcing of people to do things, but more provoking thought and helping you to possibly consider things.